All right, let's dive into one of the most influential and, let's be honest, controversial books ever written, Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Now, is this thing a cynical manual for manipulators, or is it an essential guide for navigating the world as it actually is? That's what we're here to figure out.
I mean, really think about it for a second. We're often taught that power is something you get through hard work, by playing fair. But what if that's not the whole story? What if power is actually this complex, strategic game? And if you don't even know the rules, you're pretty much set up to lose from the get-go.
So today, we're cracking open the playbook for this very game. And to really get a feel for its, let's call it amoral philosophy, we're going to explore 3 of its most compelling laws. And trust me, each one is backed by an incredible and often pretty brutal story from history.
Okay, let's kick things off with law number 1. And you could argue this is the most important one of all. It's all about your relationship with anyone above you. And man, getting this one wrong can be absolutely catastrophic.
So the law itself is never outshine the master. The idea here is simple, but it's also deeply counterintuitive, right? You'd think that showing off your talents and skills would win you points with your boss. But Greene argues it often does the exact opposite. It can actually stir up fear, insecurity, and in the end, resentment.
And to see this law in action, wow, do we have a story. We're going back to 17th century France to meet a guy named Nikola Fouquet. He was the finance minister to the young king Louis XIV.
So Fouquet was getting a little worried that he was falling out of favor with the king. His solution? Throw the most spectacular party the world had ever seen at his brand new chateau. And look, this wasn't just any party. We're talking a 7-course dinner, a play written by the famous Moliere, and a fireworks display so incredible it literally inspired the gardens of Versailles. All of this was supposed to honor the king. So what happens next? The very next day, he was arrested and thrown in prison for life. Yeah, you heard that right. The morning after the party of the century, the king's head musketeer shows up and arrests Fouquet. He was officially charged with theft, but his real crime was something else entirely. He ended up spending the next 20 years in solitary confinement.
And that was his transgression. See, Fouquet thought he was showing off his loyalty and his amazing taste. But what King Louis saw was a subject, a subordinate, whose house was more magnificent and whose party was more brilliant than anything the king himself had. It made the king feel small, insecure, and for that, Fouquet paid the ultimate price. Now, let's contrast Fouquet's story with another famous figure from that time, Galileo. When Galileo discovered the moons of Jupiter, what did he do? He didn't name them after himself. No way. He named them the Medicean stars after his patrons, the powerful Medici family. He made them look brilliant, as if their greatness was literally written in the heavens. And the result? He got a full salary and became their official court philosopher. See the difference? He made his master shine, and he was rewarded handsomely for it.
Okay, so making your boss feel secure is one thing. But what about your rivals? Well, our next law deals with them, and it is all about the power of misdirection.
Law 3. Conceal your intentions. It says to keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. The logic here is pretty straightforward. If people don't know what you're really after, they can't possibly prepare a defense. Let's face it, most of us are open books, which makes anyone who can master the art of concealment incredibly powerful.
And for our case study on this one, we're looking at a true master strategist, a young Otto von Bismarck, back in the Prussian Parliament of the 1850s.
Okay, so Bismarck's real goal was to unify Germany. And to do that, he knew he had to crush Austria. The big problem? The Prussian king wanted peace. So Bismarck played this absolutely brilliant gambit. He gets up in Parliament and gives a passionate speech against going to war, making him look perfectly aligned with the king. This decoy earned him the king's trust and, eventually, the position of prime minister. And it was only then, from that position of power, that he revealed his true colors, built up the army, and achieved the very goal he had publicly argued against.
And that's the crucial point right there. By dangling a false objective, some kind of shiny object for them to focus on, you can send your rivals on a wild goose chase. It wastes their time and energy, leaving you totally free to pursue your real goal completely unopposed.
All right, now we're moving on to what is maybe the most ruthless law in the entire book. This one is a stark warning about the dangers of leaving a job half-finished.
Law 15 is crush your enemy totally. Greene's point is that if one ember is left alight, a fire will eventually break out. The logic here is just cold and brutal. A wounded enemy isn't going to feel gratitude for your mercy. No, They're going to feel humiliation and resentment. They'll recover, they'll bide their time, and they will seek revenge. True security, according to this law, only comes from their total annihilation.
The story of the Chinese generals Shang Yu and Liu Bang is the ultimate cautionary tale for this law. Shang Yu was the better warrior, no question, and on 2 separate occasions, he had his rival Liu Bang completely at his mercy. The first time, at a banquet, he just hesitated to give the kill order. The second time, he cornered Liu Bang's army and showed mercy, letting them go. But Liu Bang, he learned from his opponent's mistakes. When he finally got the upper hand, when he regrouped and surrounded Shang Yu, he showed absolutely zero mercy. He destroyed his army and drove Shang Yu to suicide.
So Shang Yu's mercy directly led to his own downfall. Liu Bang, on the other hand, went on to found the Han Dynasty, one of the greatest in all of Chinese history. The lesson is chilling, really. Trying to reconcile with a defeated enemy is a dangerous fantasy. So, we've looked at outshining the master, concealing your intentions, and crushing your enemy. What does this all add up to? What's the big picture here? What's the core philosophy of this whole game of power?
Well, when you pull back and look at these laws together, a very clear, if a little unsettling, picture starts to emerge. Power is a social game of appearances, not intentions. It demands that you master your own emotions while you strategically play on the emotions of others. It's all about controlling the narrative, hiding your real goals, and being absolutely decisive when you're dealing with rivals.
Ultimately, the 48 Laws of Power isn't asking you to like these principles. It's not asking you to agree with them. It's simply making the case that this is how power has worked all throughout human history. The goal isn't to judge the game, but to understand the rules.
So, whether you see these laws as a cynical guide for manipulators, or maybe a pragmatic toolkit for self-defense, they really force us all to ask a tough question. In this grand game of power, are you consciously choosing the rules you play by, or is someone else choosing them for you?